yeah, so we're going to be talking about potential energy, and we're going to be talking about kinetic energy. So potential energy is stored energy. Stored energy can be, stored energy can be converted into motion energy, kinetic energy. So, but there are different types of potential energy, stored energy, and there are different types of kinetic, motion energy. So that's basically what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about that in relation to atoms, because in the last video we talked about how basically if a force is applied to an atom, basically the electrons on the outer rings or the outer shells, they can be pushed out. So yeah, we're basically going to talk about the different types of potential energy, different types of kinetic energy, and we're going to talk about that in relation to atoms. So stored energy. So the first type of stored energy would be chemical energy. So let's say, for example, I have a cloud of gas. So like a cloud of gas. So it's like explosive and stuff. So let's say I have a lighter and I light this gas on fire. And it's like flammable gas. This gas would be set on fire. That would be a chemical reaction. But before this even happened, there was energy stored within that gas. That would be chemical energy. That's a type of potential energy. So before that even happened, that gas was storing chemical energy. So that would be an example. Another example would be batteries. Batteries would be another example. And then moving on to the next type of energy, we have mechanical energy. So, mechanical energy. So, have you ever stretched out a rubber band? So, when you stretch out that rubber band, it's actually storing potential energy. It's storing mechanical energy. So, when you release that rubber band, it becomes kinetic motion energy. So, that would be an example of that. So, yeah, rubber band. And then, alright. We should have enough room here. I'm just making sure. Alright, so, the next type of potential stored energy would be gravitational energy. So, like, let's say we're at the top of a steep hill. Okay, that's not very steep. Say a steep hill, and at the top of the hill we have a car. Now this car, yeah, I need to figure out how to draw a car, bro. Okay, yeah, that kind of looks like a car. You can see it, right? Alright, so, so let's say at the top of the hill, we have like a car. What the heck? Okay, yeah, so, yeah, let's say at the top of the hill, we have a car, and this car is in park. So, yeah, let's say it's in park. So, if we were to put this car into neutral, so it was in park, so it's staying at the top. If we were to put it in neutral, that potential energy, that gravitational energy, would be converted into motion energy, kinetic energy. So that would be an example of that. And then there's a fourth type of potential energy. Okay, yeah, that works. So fourth type of potential energy, we have nuclear energy. Alright. Okay. Not sure what type of atom this is, but probably need to look at the periodic table to figure it out. But yeah, I gotta start memorizing these. Like, I gotta memorize the periodic table. But anyway, so this would be a, okay, I gotta do better than that. I gotta give the people what they want. Alright. Yeah, so that would be an atom, or at least an attempt at recreating one very fast. So if this atom were to be broken apart, and an atom can be broken apart, and I'm pretty sure there's only, I'm not completely sure how an atom can be broken apart. I know it has something to do with neutrons. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with neutrons. Like neutrons hitting an atom and then it shatters. But don't trust what I'm saying there. But I'm not completely sure there. But I know that when an atom is broken apart, nuclear energy is released. And so this can also happen when two nuclei are fused together. Nuclei. That would be the correct terminology. So yeah, nuclear energy would be released if a nucleus was broken apart or two nuclei were fused together. Nuclear energy would be released. So yeah, so that would be potential energy, nuclear energy. So we have chemical energy, mechanical energy, gravitational energy, and nuclear energy. So so now we go on to the different forms of kinetic energy. So this motion energy. So when potential energy is stored, it can be converted into kinetic energy. And what you start to notice is all of these are actually real life examples, actually, like stretching a rubber band, like gas, like on fire, like car, like obviously you probably haven't seen an atom before, but like you're sort of getting the point here. Like these are for the most part real life examples of potential energy. So now we're going to move on to kinetic energy. So you have radiant, wrong one. So you have radiant energy, so this would be the sun. Very inaccurate sun, but yeah, this would be the sun. And basically light travels from the sun, and this would be a form of radiant energy, light traveling from the sun. So moving on to the next form of motion energy would be thermal energy. So we talked about the example here of gas burning, But just to give a different example, so like, let's say we have a campfire, and we have a match, and we just light it on fire. That would be thermal energy, heat energy. And then the next one would be motion energy. So we talked before about the example with the car, but just to give a different example, we have, so like, let's say you threw a punch. If you threw a punch, that would be motion energy, because you had potential energy in your fist, and then you threw the punch, so that would be kinetic energy, motion energy. And then you have sound energy. Sound energy is a little bit like weaker than the other forms of kinetic energy generally, but yeah, so sound energy is caused by vibrations. So it's caused by like if I bang the table, that's gonna cause vibrations. That would be sound energy. So, or even like if I like was banging like a drum or something, I'll just draw a drum. That would be sound energy. And then we have the last form of kinetic energy, last form of motion energy, and that would be electrical energy. So lightning would be a natural form of electrical energy. So and lightning, if you heard in the last video, lightning is just it's just electrons moving from atom to atom. And yeah, so these would be the forms. So we have all the forms of motion energy here. So just to recap, we have radiant energy. An example of radiant energy, probably the most common example would be the sun. Like the sun, it heats the earth, and if it wasn't for the sun, we would not have life on this planet. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And we have thermal energy, which is heat energy. We talked about that a little bit more over here. And then we have motion energy. Motion energy is it's just sort of like the basic like movement of things. And you have sound energy, which is caused by vibrations. Then you have electrical energy. This is the last one, electrical energy, which is just the movement of electrons between atoms. So we've talked about potential energy, stored energy, and kinetic energy, motion energy. So now we're going to talk about this sort of in relation to atoms. So let's say, for example, I were to light some wood on fire. That would be thermal energy, right? When I did that, I caused a chemical reaction that caused electrons to move fast enough to create heat, thermal energy. when I stretch out a rubber band, that's potential energy. When I release the rubber band, that's gonna cause electrons to come out of their orbit, right? And that's basically the main point that I want you guys to like take away from this, is that basically motion energy generally it is like the movement of electrons and atoms in like different forms and stuff. So yeah, that's like the main takeaway. And I think like we sort of talked about this like last time. We talked about like how electrons like the movement of electrons is just electricity, but it's sort of like a little bit more than that, because electrons can move when a strong enough force is applied. All of these are examples of energy. This is literally just what we were about to discuss in the last video. This is force. So yeah, that's the main takeaway from this video. Yeah. And basically in the next video, we're probably gonna discuss molecules. And yeah, that's probably what we're gonna talk about next. But yeah, this will probably be it for now.